Hi guys and welcome to the Lockdown Therapy. I am Candy and this is
Julie.
I hope you enjoyed our last episode where we talked about the review of Old Church Basement, where we mentioned some of our favorite songs, which were I Shall Not Want.
Yeah, I Shall Not Want. That's my favorite song from the album. Though I love every song, and I think I have a favorite one this week than the one I had last week. But I'll just stick with Shall Not Want.
Yeah, I also forgot to mention Mercy. Mercy was
Mercy.
also my favorite song. This week I've been listening to Mercy, and I remember Lilo mentioning how it's being Old Church Basement, Irene mentioning Used to This, that reminded her of the song Stay,
Yeah.
and also what's the other song? Little Miracles.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So today we are going to talk about attachment. And Julie, will you mind defining attachment?
No, I don't mind. Attachment is like an emotional bond formed between two people, and in which each person seeks closeness, seeks like beauty from the attachment. Yeah, that's how I can define attachment.
That's nice. And also, when you talk about attachment, what comes to your mind?
Well, what comes to my mind is companionship. I don't know, because we were all created for relationship and companionship, and that's why when God made Adam, he saw he was alone and was like, you can't be alone. So here's a woman for companionship. So we were all created for relationship and companionship. So we have to form these attachments. We have to work towards creating attachments with our friends, with our relatives, with even relationships like romantic relationships, and also maybe mentorship. So when we talk about attachments, we're not just talking about romantic relationships per se. We're talking about friendships, we're talking about mentor-mentee attachment, we're talking about siblings or parents. Yeah.
And when you're talking about attachment and you mentioned friendships and you talked about relatives, mentors, I'm thinking of how attachments have been broken during the last year during lockdown.
Yeah.
And that's why we are here, because we want to talk about some of the things that happened to us, some of the relationships that we lost that have made us fear getting to people. And when we talk about attachment, let's be clear, we're not talking about romantic relationships, but we're talking about attachments even with our parents, even with our siblings. So be open-minded. Don't just think of your boyfriend at this time. Think about your friends. Think
Or
about
girlfriend.
or your girlfriends. Yeah. So Julie, I'll ask, with attachment, why do you think we form attachments?
We form attachments because it's like it's nature for us to form those attachments. Like I've said, we were all created for companionship. So it's like a need God put in us when he was creating us. So we need friends, we need the mentorship, we need relationships. So one of the reasons we form these attachments is because we are wired that way from the word go. And but along the way, people kind of form attachments out of the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
For example, you want to seek validation, so you want this friend because you think they'll validate you, or you feel incomplete, so you seek relationships thinking that I mean like the romantic relationships, thinking that they will complete you, which are all wrong reasons for forming attachments. Yeah.
And also, when we talk about reasons as to why people form attachments, some of them it's out of fear. You see, like some of us are fearful and we think if we get into a certain group and stay with certain people, people will notice us or people will approach us. You see?
Yeah.
So it's out of fear where you choose to be close to people to feel some form of security.
Or the fear of being alone, like you fear you just can't be alone. So I'll just form these friendships because I don't want to stay alone. Like that's the major reason why you're forming the attachment, and that really won't hold it for long. If the major reason why I'm forming this attachment is so that I do not stay alone, then the attachment will grow weak with time.
And also another reason will be favors. Some of us form attachments because we expect favors from people, even with us among ourselves. If you have a business and I want you to give me a discount, the easiest way is for me to be your friend, so that when I talk to you, I tell you, baby, sunikatie thau kwa hiyo kiatu ama unikatie. You see, all the wrong
reasons. Yeah.
So that and then when people form such friendships, I am thinking you're my friend, but unaona hii ni biashara. Unaget? So I expect you to be there for me during my hard times, yet your reasons are not legit. And then now I start having attachment disorders, or I start having issues.
Yeah, when you say that, like in our attachments, we may have, like for example, the example you've given, I may have different expectations. Like my expectations are this and your expectations are this. So when both of our expectations aren't met by this companionship, by this friendship, then it leads to unnecessary hurt, unnecessary pain, and unnecessary chaos and the dramas, zile zenye tunaonanga za marafiki za yeah.
Yeah, and also now talking about friendships. One thing during COVID, so many things happened.
Yeah.
We lost friends and made new friends. And when we lost friends, it was not because probably of distance, but because some of them hurt us. In the sense of, I know no one wants to talk about this, but I was telling you, when I'm your friend and it's your birthday and you don't invite me, and I know we are friends, honestly.
Hey, that's a very, very sensitive
And
topic.
it's your birthday, or you don't post me. You know, these are things that happen, and people want to go like, uko na small issues, uko na but these are big things. Like, if you're my friend, explain to me why I'm not going for your birthday. Honestly.
You need to know.
We've been friends for like maybe 20 years. We've been friends for a very long time, and then
20 years and then you don't invite me to your birthday candy.
See, that causes me to have insecurity, even when people don't show up for your graduation, or they don't even text you or tell you. I don't know how to describe it, but some of us, we want to look at it from a point of someone being weak, but the truth is, people have formed attachments with each other, and some of us, it could be you're holding it with so much weight and I'm not, and it will hurt me.
Yeah.
So, sorry, what I wanted to put across is, when it comes to attachment, don't belittle someone's expectations. It's good to communicate.
Like communicate your expectations, even in friendships. I think that's something I've come to learn, because we have, in friendships, people don't really think that this communication matters. We don't have to discuss like the matters about the friendship. We only discuss every other thing. But we have to communicate our expectations. Like, what do I expect from this friendship? Do I expect that you'll talk to me today and tomorrow? Do I expect that when you're going someplace, you will invite me? Like, are we friends like that? What types of friends are we? Am I the friend that you'll only call on a bad day? Or am I, we need to communicate those expectations, because when your expectations are not met, that's when the hurt comes in. So communication is vital in the formation and in the sustenance of every attachment we form.
And talking about that, I remember on a new over 25, they're also talking about having boundaries. It's good to know where you lie in your friendship, so that you don't also get to expect a lot. They're friends. I have friends because we're working in the same place. I have friends because we're in ministry together. Now I have friends who we work with. You see, it's good to know, like, your friends, which space are they in, so that you don't go hating everyone because they're not there for you.
True.
How will your workmate know, for example, you have a problem at home, you've not eaten? You see, if I have a friend now, for example, like you, I'll call you and tell you, baby, this has happened. But now if I call my workmate, and then unakuja unasema, she has never been there for me. See, that's unfair.
Yeah, that's unfair. And once you say that, I've remembered something. I don't know, it's something that I apply in my life. I'm not even sure if it's right or wrong, but I always say, for me, I'll minimize my place in everyone's life. I will not exaggerate my place in your life. So I'd rather you surprise me by inviting me to some place rather than expect you to, no matter who you are. I live by this. I will not expect anything from anyone, honestly, because they are human beings and they will disappoint at the end of the day. Even the Bible tells us that, like, when we depend on men, we will be put to shame. So I've taken that to heart because in my life, I have experienced disappointments when I've placed certain expectations in people who have things going on in their lives at the end of the day, who have struggles too, but I also expect them to come through for me in a certain way. So when they do not meet those expectations, that's when the hurt comes. And when the hurt comes, that's when the walls start coming up as well. So, and that's all unnecessary if we all know our places in everyone's life, like you said. I know my place with my workmate. So I will not expect when my workmate has like an intimate event, they will invite me. So because I do not expect it, when they do not invite me, it will be fine. Like nothing has happened because just as I've said, I'd rather they surprise me by inviting me rather than me expecting it, then be disappointed. So in attachments, I think it's very, very important to know your place in everyone's life. And people will always show you. It will be clear as day, your place in their lives. So just take it as it is. Do not overthink it. Just when someone shows you, like me and you, we only relate in the sense of, I'll share music with you. Like, just accept that. Stick to that lane. If our lane is music, our lane is music. If our lane is probably everything in life, like me, I know me and Candy, we're close, we share our lives together, then that's the person I'll give the same form of attachment to. Yeah.
And I'm thinking like it's very important to emphasize on the fact that you should be genuine with the reason as to why you're forming an attachment. You see, have the right reasons, because at the end of the day, if you're lying or if you're being deceptive, you'll never feel fulfilled in that friendship. You'll never be fulfilled in that fellowship. You need to know, why am I there? Because I've talked about people being there because of favors. Others are being there because of just kuroll na masoshi. Kuroll tu now, wasi wajuange niko now. So what happens when they don't come through for you? Unaona?
The disappointment and the hurt.
And also when your reasons are wrong, it's hard for you to communicate. How do I tell you, baby, mimi niko hapa kwa sababu nataka unipe discount? Ama how do I communicate, mimi nataka kuwa hapa kwa sababu nataka wewe, kwa sababu wewe watu wanakujua, nataka pia mimi kwa kunijua. Unaona? But when you have the right reasons, you say, baby, I want to be your friend because there's this and this that I like about you. There's this and this you can help me with. I feel you're such and such a person who can be there for me.
And that brings me to another question. Like, when we say attachments, we've talked about like having the wrong reasons and the different unhealthy forms of attachments. What is a healthy like form of attachment to you? What can you say is a healthy way to form attachments?
One way of getting to form a healthy one, it's good to know if you guys have the same values. That's one way you'll know if you're having a healthy relationship. But when two people cannot work together until they agree, that's how important values are. You see, so that you don't compromise. And values don't mean that just because we have different values, we should not associate with each other. But when people have different values, what you do, you accommodate them. You don't hate them. You don't go like, no, you accommodate them. But having the same values really matters for you to have a healthy attachment and healthy relationships with people. Yes, that's one way.
To me, a healthy form of attachment is an attachment whereby me, as one party, I am whole on my own. Like, when I am whole as Julie, I will be able to form a healthy relationship or attachment with someone else. I will not expect someone else to fulfill my desires. I will not expect someone else to complete me, because that's too much. Expecting too much, and no one can compliment, no one can complete me, no one can give me the validation, no one can really accept me. So once I have learned to love myself, to be whole as Julie, to be complete as Julie, then I can be able to form a healthy form of attachment, whereby even if this person one day decides that they will leave, they won't like completely break me apart. I'll get hurt, but I will still stand because I know I am still whole, I am still accepted, like, and that comes from God. Like, the only way I can be whole as Julie, so that I can form healthy attachments, is when I am secure in God, when I know really, really that this is who I am accepted, I am loved, I have God in my life, so I have everything I need, I have enough. So even when these attachments they fail, I will still stand firm, secure that I am whole as Julie, I am enough, even without them.
Yeah, and going to another point where we talked about attachment disorders. We talked about people who are clingy, who are hyperactive, who are withdrawn, emotionally withdrawn, and maybe you can mention some of the attachment disorders.
Before I mention them, it just reminds me of this friend I had. We became friends today, and then tomorrow she was like calling me best friend and wants to text me all day. And it was like, it was uncomfortable for me because I just knew you yesterday, so we can't be best friends already. And that's when I was doing my research. That's when I learned that isn't even normal. It's a disorder whereby you are quick to trust, you are hyperactive, you will like ask like personal questions on the first day we meet and be asking you like, hey, and what do you use to do for what? These private questions. And that's not normal. That's actually a disorder. It's called a disinhibited social engagement disorder, whereby you're too clingy, you trust too fast. Like these people who form attachments too quickly, and then there are those people who do not form, like who have walls. They are not showing any emotion. They will not connect to anyone. We will just talk, and it will end. They are not forming attachment with you. Those ones are the reactive types of disorders, and we will talk more about this coming forward, because as we say, this is a series. We'll talk about the disorders, we'll talk about how trauma leads to these attachment disorders, or how we can link these attachment disorders to trauma. We will also talk about how to go about them. And I think we should, as we move forward in discussing them, let's be open-minded, and let's remember to examine ourselves. Like we did the self-evaluation, evaluate your friendships, evaluate your attachments, so that even as we discuss these things, you'll be more open-minded to be like, whoa, I could be struggling with this, I could be dealing with this, and then we can be able to grow and learn together.
Yeah, and also as we finish, let me mention that our anchor verse will be Luke chapter 12, verse 19 to 21, where it talks about a rich man who stored up everything during harvest, so that, when famine comes, he will have prepared himself enough. And Jesus says, you're very foolish, because you will die tomorrow. Why we are choosing this verse, it's because it shows us how we feel safe and secure with the things that we have acquired or the relationships that we have formed. So watch out for our next episodes as we go through attachments.
And also, if you have any questions about attachments, you can ask us in the comment section, and also you can DM us on our Instagram at Lockdown Therapy. Yeah, and that's it from us. I hope to see you next week as we go deeper into the disorders and also trauma.
And also remember to like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.